Do you have any bread that's going old, maybe a little moldy in some spots? Don't feed it to the ducks. It's not even good for them. Instead, make bread pudding. So here's what you'll need. You're gonna need 5 old buns, or maybe 10 slices of old bread, 2 tablespoons of melted butter or butter substitute, 3 eggs beaten, 2 cups of milk or water, 3/4 cup white sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Super easy, super delicious. Let's get started. So step 1, I'm gonna take my slices of bread and my old buns and rip them up. This is the fun part. So you want to rip them into small enough bites that every piece is going to be coated with the cinnamon sugar that it's going to be flavored with. So make them about, centimeter by a centimeter, or 5/8 an inch by 5/8 an inch for imperial measurements. So rip them all up, put them in a bowl. That's all you got to do. Kids of any age could do this. It's a really, really easy way to help in the kitchen. And you're making use of old food, and we're all about not wasting food, right? A little about me, I don't really drink milk, it's just not for me. But when I'm baking, I like to keep some evaporated milk in the cupboard so that way I always have milk on hand. So I'm going to pour this can into a bowl and then fill the can up with water and pour that into the bowl, mix it around, and then that will be our baking milk. Baking milk. Sounds weird. Okay, so a lot of people, when they open cans, they put the little razor bit at the top and clamp down. What I like to do, so that I don't have to put my hand in a razor sharp can, is actually put this rotating wheel, the blade, sideways onto the can, and then I twist. I'm actually going to have to do it over here so you can see it. But when you do it this method, the lid comes off much smoother. So if you use the can opener this way, you can see that the edge is smooth. It's not all sharp and jagged. I'm not cutting myself here. So turn your can opener sideways. Use it that way. All right, so this goes in the bowl. I'm going to fill this to the top with water and then put that in the bowl as well. Okay, so our recipe calls for 2 cups of milk or water, whatever you're going to be using. So I need my cup measurer. You would think I'd be prepared. Cup measurer. Okay, all right, so we're going to be putting 2 cups of milk into our mixing bowl. I have my cup measurer. This is not, I guess, the canonical way of doing it, but this is how we're doing it. 1 cup. And if you can't get your cup measurer all the way in the bowl, you can get a 1/2 cup measurer and just dip that twice, because that equals 1 cup. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here because, if I put too much, it's okay. I like my bread pudding to be really moist. Just a little bit more. Okay, now we're going to mix our 3 eggs in. So our 3 eggs, we're just going to bash them on the edge of the bowl. The whole thing goes in, the yolk and the albumin, the white part. Plop. Next egg. Plop. Plop. You have to say blop, otherwise it doesn't blend well. 3 eggs are in there. I'm going to beat them with a whisk until they're entirely blended with milk. Whisking is also a good skill to practice with young children, because they have to work on their hand-eye coordination and this rotating movement, which is kind of a hard fine motor skill. You want them to get it all the way around the bowl, not just one section of the batter. All right, so that's mixed. All right, next we're going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I melted this in the microwave, and when it's melted in the microwave, it loses some of its water content, so I put a little more than 2 tablespoons of butter, but enough that it would make up for the evaporation. Makes sense. Okay, so that's going in. And then we're going to add 3/4 cup of white sugar. So I don't have a 3/4 cup measuring cup, but I do have a 1/4 cup measuring cup. So this is 1/4 and I need 3/4. That means I need to fill this to the top 3 times. I move my fingers over here because I'm so pale. 3 times, and that's 3/4 cup. So this is gonna go in. Da, 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 2, 3. Next is the flavoring. So bread pudding is a cinnamon sugar kind of flavor. So we're going to use a tablespoon of cinnamon. Fill it all the way to the top. And I'm doing this over the bowl so that if I spill any, it's just going to go in the batter. So I'm not making as big a mess as usual. And lastly, the vanilla, which again is a tablespoon. So I'm going to fill it all the way to the top. Okay, here is where the dry meets the wet. So I have our ripped up bread pieces in here, and I'm gonna pour this soupy cinnamon mixture all on top of it till it's saturated. I mean, it's totally covered and absorbed. Everything's all blended together nicely. Gets all juicy. Delicious. And at this point, I'm also gonna preheat my oven to 350 degrees. So bake, 350, start. All right, so while that's warming up, I'm gonna mix this by hand. So of course, anytime you're cooking, you wash your hands before you touch the food, and then you wash your hands in between when there's different things that you've been touching that could cross-contaminate and make other people sick or get you sick. So my hands are clean. I'm gonna put them right in and just start mixing. Blop. All right, so this is the second to last step. What we're gonna do is take our baking dish and spray it with our handy dandy pan. Who should sponsor me? Just kidding. Okay, and we're gonna spray the entire thing. We want the corners, the edges, the bottom, the sides, the whole thing. Because I want every last bit of this bread pudding in my mouth and not stuck to the pan. Alright, here's the final step before it goes in the oven. We're just gonna pour it right in. And it's soupy now, but when it's in the oven, it's going to reduce and become really thick and moist. So good. Alright, I'll show you pre-oven what it looks like. I mean, it looks like bread pudding. That's what it looks like. But when it comes out, it's gonna be golden brown and delicious. Oh. You're gonna wish you made some yesterday. Okay, so that bad boy has to be in the oven for 35 minutes, so leave it alone. There's a lot of moisture in there that has to be evaporated, so don't go opening the oven because you want to check on it. That's gonna let some of the heat out, and then it's not gonna cook as quickly or as evenly. You know, trust me. All right, now a couple of facts. Bread pudding was probably invented between the 11th and 16th century. It's a poor man's pudding because they're making use of everything, not letting anything go to waste. It's really popular in New Orleans, where my family is, and it's delicious, y'all. You're gonna like it. Like, it sounds weird, but then you try it, and I swear it's like so good. Anyway, this is a great use for bread because you don't want to throw anything out if you don't have to. And it's better than feeding the ducks. Well, it's not bad for birds or ducks. It doesn't really give them any nutrition, so they're filling up on this fluff, this bread, and they're not getting the nutrients they need. So it's not gonna hurt them, but it's certainly not gonna help them. Make bread pudding, y'all. Anyway, 2 facts about myself. Earlier today, somebody on the phone thought I was a child and asked for my mom. Also, one time I scared the neighbor because they thought there was a ghost in my attic. It was just me, rummaging around in the attic, near the window, in a white dress, apparently looking like a ghost. Last step is to enjoy it. So this came out of the oven 15 minutes ago, so it's cooled enough that I can try it. So we got our big spoon. Oh, I can already tell. It smells so good. Not for you, Bubba. Here we go. Oh my gosh. It is just velvet in your mouth. It's so good. It's almost like a liquid cinnamon roll. So I would love it if you tried this, or if you have any other ways to make use of your stale old bread rather than throwing it outside or in the trash. Let me know. Would love to see. All right, bye. Sound. Just squash it. Again, why don't I wear an apron? I own so many aprons, and I never wear them. Like, come on. And then, why did my voice go so high? Making a mess, making a mess. Ooh. This is a steel egg. We're just gonna bash them on the edges of the pan? Nope. I want them to be beaten to a pulp. That's not what I wanted to say. Okay. Because they have to work on their So the first step is to rip up all your bread and your old buns. No. This went. We want our pieces to be relatively small and similar in size, so maybe about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. We want them to be small enough that they all get saturated with the cinnamon and sugar that we're going to be flavoring them with. Why did I stop? Okay, because we want every piece to be covered with that cinnamon evaporated milk. 1 portion is 2 tablespoons of evaporated milk. So all we have to, nope, what am I saying? To flavor them with. Why do I keep stopping? And use that in our baking. That's not what I wanted to say. A motorcycle drove by. Okay. If you like cinnamon rolls or... No, I'm not going to say that word. That normally you would get with a can of... So if you look at this edge, it's not all sharp and jagged. No. So, I'm gonna have to get a stirring bowl. Give me just a second. I'm not on the top of my game. Let's get this bread. Oh, nonchalant, carefree. Teaching during a pandemic. Bread! Bread! Oh my god, am I crazy? I'm just gonna eat it straight from the bowl. You want some?